seem to be on a run of big commons at the minute. Last time I was down here, I had a brace of 38s, and now this one's 37-12. So very happy. It came at dawn, and been a bit manic over the last 15-20 minutes or so. I'll show you why in a second. But very happy with this one. Cracking common. As you can tell from that last clip, it's been an absolutely manic morning. I'm absolutely soaking wet, I'm aching, and I'm a little bit tired as well, but it's been awesome. So basically what's happened is, I got here last night a bit later than what I thought. I only had a sort of 3 hours before dusk, so I had to make my swim choice pretty quick. And I was gutted when I pulled up in the car park and there was 10 cars already here. And by talking to a couple of lads, not a lot had been out, but nobody had been fishing in this area. So I thought, right, well this is an obvious place to go. I didn't have a chance to walk around, and to be honest with you, I probably couldn't. It wouldn't have really helped me because most of the area up that end is stitched. So my decision was made pretty easy to drop in here because nobody had been in here for a few days, and I just hoped the fish had pulled off all the pressure that had been around the lake and dropped in here. So I had a good let around last night because I'd never fished this swim before. So it took me a bit of time to find the spots, get the rods out and get fishing. Well, it all started in the early hours of this morning when I had a mid-20 common. I didn't bother weighing it because it just started to rain, and I just took a couple of quick pictures on the mat. Guessed it at about mid-20, putting back before the heavens opened, which the forecast had given out for, and they have done as well this morning, absolutely hammered it down. And then after it got light, the right-hand rod absolutely ripped off. Picked that rod up, kited quite a lot, but not a massive fight. I don't think it took any line off the clutch, it just kind of plodded and kited. And eventually I slipped the net underneath the 37 you saw at the start of this film. I was blown away by that, really happy with that. It's always nice to come down when the lake's fishing slow to get a decent fish. And yeah, I couldn't be happier. So I quickly unhooked it, weighed it, 37-12 I think it was, put it back in the flotation sling in the net to get the camera kit ready, and then the heavens absolutely opened. So I'm sitting on the end of the bed chair thinking, oh, what do I do? How do I get these pictures done? I suppose I just have to wait for the rain to bait. And then just as I was contemplating what's the best thing to do is, the mirror rod just ripped off, absolutely ripped off. I was like, what do I do? Now it is raining, it's proper raining. So luckily I had the waders on, got my jacket on, picked the rod up, and again it just kited around, didn't do a massive amount, just kept kiting from left to right. It went over the top of the line of the left-hand rod, which is the only rod that's still fishing, and then come back over it again. I thought this is gonna wipe that last rod out. You know, the water's quite shallow out there, the whole lake is shallow really. I thought it's gonna wipe it out, but without too much trouble, I slipped the net under this fish, and I looked down on it. I thought, that's close to 40. That's a good fish. I was thinking, well, what can I do? I've got one sling, one net. You know, you get the carp care kit from here on the hut. It's all kept secure in a sort of biosystem, so nothing leaves the lake, nothing comes into the lake, more importantly. So I had one sling, one net. So I had a fish in the net, a fish in the sling. So I couldn't weigh the fish that was in the net or do anything with it. So I just propped the net up, thinking, right, I need to do the photograph of the first fish, but I didn't even get a chance before the left-hand rod, the bobbin just hit the deck. I thought, this is going to be a bream, isn't it? I thought, not so sure. Then it just tightened back up again, stayed tight, then come out the clip, and then just one-noted, completely one-noted. So I went down and picked up the rod, and it just flat-rodded me straight away, just absolutely ripping line off the clutch. You know, different to the other two fights, which just sort of kited around, didn't do anything. This one was just tearing around like a madman. And I knew it was a decent fish. I didn't know how big, but I knew it wasn't a little one, put it that way, it wasn't stocky. So I've got a massive issue on my hands now. I've got a fish in the sling, a fish in the net, and another one on, and I've only got one net. So I'm thinking, what do I do? What can I do? And I just thought, well, there is nothing to do. I'd already unhooked the fish in the net, so that was then free. So I couldn't so if that one got out of the net, it was gone. You know, and I knew that was a 40-pounder, but I didn't know what this one was. It felt decent, but it could have been a sort of mad upper 20, 30, or it could be one of the big girls. I'm thinking, what do I do? It's almost like a gamble. Do I try and get two fish in one net, or do I almost sacrifice this fish and try and deal with it, put the rod down and try and photograph the other fish? And I don't know, so I thought, oh, no, the only thing to do is try and get it into the net with the other fish. So I played the fish, got it in on a short line, picked up the net, and I was really conscious not to let that net cord go below the water. So I kept it up in one hand, kept a tight line, so holding the net in one hand, still playing it. It went on another couple more charges. I was thinking, right, just wait till it's done, then it hit the surface. And keeping the net cut above the water, I managed to lean it back and get the other fish in, where the other fish is still in there. I just thought, thank God for that. Oh, look at this for a chunk. I never thought he was this big. I've only just had a chance to weigh him. This is actually the third fish I've had from a manic. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, when all three rods pretty much went one after the other. Unbelievable. This is actually 45 pounds and 6 ounces. I only thought this was a mid to upper 30 when I netted it, and I actually thought the one in the net that I've got now is the bigger of the two. So, God knows how big that is. Unless I got it wrong, I probably did. But look at this. 45.6. What an awesome bit of action. Can't believe it. Can't believe how it's just kicked off all of a sudden. Happy days. Once I did the photographs of that fish, let that go back, it was time to deal with the other one, but it really started raining now, so I had to quickly grab the camera, stick it back under the brolly, but I still weighed the fish in the pouring rain and got absolutely drenched, as you can see. So I lifted it onto the mat, had a first proper good look at it. I already zeroed the sling in again because the more slings in the water, the more it takes on a bit more weight. So I re-zeroed the sling. I thought, yeah, it's decent. Lifted it up, expecting it to. I thought I got the fish the wrong way around, so I was expecting this one to be the upper 30. So as I lifted it up, it went straight past the 40 mark again, and I'd caught a brace of 40s. Well, look at this fella. I was wrong when I said this was the bigger of the brace, because believe it or not, it's exactly the same size. 45.6. No idea which fish it is, but I'm absolutely blown away. It's my biggest brace. Happy days. Baiting scenario I've been using this session is I've been fishing a boilie only method, which is, you know, my preferred method really, if I'm honest. It tends to catch less bream, less tench, and it can single out the bigger fish, although at the start of this year I've been having a lot of stockies. And I've been spotting the bait out because these seagulls are an absolute nightmare. They're probably bothering somebody else now, but as soon as you pick up a throwing stick, they're just straight on you. Or even after a spom, as soon as the spom hits the water, to try and pick out any boilies or whatever is coming out of that spom. So trying to stick baits out is an absolute nightmare, so I've had to spom baits out. So I've been putting 7 spoms per rod per night, which roughly equates to about a kilo of boilies. So I've been using a mixture of 14 mils and 18 mils in mainline cell and hybrid, just to mix things up a little bit. So there's 2 different baits that the fish are there picking up, and there's different sizes as well. So that is probably what's helped me single out the slightly bigger fish. You know, I don't think there's a big autumn feed up like there used to be, but I certainly think the fish are trying to put on weight for the autumn. So by using a boilie only approach, I think has helped what I've caught this session.
I don't know if you can hear me or not. This weather is absolutely biblical. Just look at that. Absolutely hammering it down. Thunder and lightning. It's very, very carpy. I'm not entirely sure I want to bite right now, but hopefully it switches them on, get some feeding, and we can get a few more.
for a nice wake-up call. Another 37-pound common. Seem to be catching a few of these at the minute. The upper 30s. And yeah, it's nice to get this one. So it's not kicked off this morning like it has yesterday morning, but I'm not complaining with this one. But there's still plenty of time now. You probably hear the roosters crying from the little farm down there, so it's still very early in the morning, and hopefully there's a chance of a few more fish. But yeah, to be honest with you, if I don't catch any more, I can't complain with the session I'm having. It's turning out to be one of those very, very special sessions. So yeah, happy with this one. 37.4 I think it was. So nice fish. Well, I was really pleased at that 37 this morning. It's great to catch another one. I was hopeful of another bite after that, but maybe that was being greedy after what happened yesterday. But no, it's nice to get another fish. It's now about 9:30, so I'm just debating what to do. I should be packing up in a few hours, but I've got a bit of a pass out from the missus to stay a bit longer and stay most of the day. I'm just thinking, can I sneak another night in? Shall I do tonight and then pack up early in the morning to get myself to work tomorrow, or do I do the sensible thing and go home today? I don't know. I'm just thinking it's that time of year where it's not that easy to catch fish. I've had 5 already, and some of the big gills are due, and I know the big gills do like it at this time of year, so I don't know, might try and sneak another night, but haven't fully decided yet. Anyway, let me show you the swim. So this is where I'm fishing. This swim is known as the Wides. I'm guessing it's because you've got a big view of the lake, and there's a lot going on out there. So as you can see, there's an island just here. There's another island there. It's not my water, by the way, but I can put a rod up there, I think, or I certainly can if no one's in the next swim. At the minute, I've got one rod there. It's 80 yards, and another rod there at 80 yards. Now I'm finding it's a bit deeper there than what it has been, or what it is in the rest of the lake. I mean, in the summer it was probably about 3.5 foot average depth of the lake. So I was getting swanned in a lot of places. I actually got seagulled on a few of the spots, so they must have been about 18 inches deep. It was very shallow, but the water level's coming up now, especially in the last few days. As you can see, that's front buzzer bar, them front bank sticks were actually out of the water when I got here on a couple of days ago. But we've had that much rain now, it's come up to almost the backrests. So it's a good few inches of water it's come up just over 24 hours really. But that rain was absolutely torrential. So the spots out there are getting a little bit deeper. And the fish seem to enjoy that rain as well. It really switched them on yesterday. I was hoping it'd switch them on last night. Well, I suppose I got a bite, so I suppose it did. But what I'm debating now is to whether to leave that rod that's fished up here. That's only done one bite. That did that 37 yesterday, whereas the other 2 rods have done the 45, the 2 45s, and that left-hand rod did the 37 this morning. So I don't know what to do. I have seen fish down here yesterday. So last night, just before dusk, one showed down there, and I did hear fish around this sort of area last night, mainly in that bay there, just around the corner from where I'm fishing, across there. So they have been there, but that left-hand rod has had 2 or 3 liners last night and first thing this morning. So I don't know whether to leave it up there or to move it down there. I mean, I can't move the other 2. I've done a brace of 40s on it, so they've got to stay put. So I'm just going to see what happens today, see what I see. See if I see any more fish and make a decision if I decide to do tonight. I'm already talking like I'm doing it, so maybe I've subconsciously decided. So yeah, I'm going to have a little think and see what the best thing to do is. It's now the evening and I've decided to stop the extra night. So I'm going to give it a go and see what happens. I've not seen a great deal of shows today, but there has been a little bit of activity around. I spoke to a couple of the lads and they've seen the odd fish dotted around up this end of the lake, so that's pretty positive. So what I've done is I've kept what was the left and the middle rod in the same place, fishing the sort of areas across here. but I've moved this rod that was fishing up to there. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, because some mate has moved in the swim up there. Even though I was fishing nowhere near him, I just think a line in that direction is just going to put extra pressure on. So with him putting 3 lines out in that far corner up there, means the fish might force the way out a little bit. And yeah, I don't know if it's the right decision or wrong decision, but I've decided to move that rod round a little bit. So yeah, I've moved it round to the left. Let me just show you. So if you can see the corner of the island here, I cast it towards that at about 70 yards, I think, something like that, where there's a bit of a silk gully that I found on my first day when I was here. So and there's high weed around it. That's probably the weediest area I found in the swim. So that's gone down quite well there, and it did actually thud down, so I don't know if I hit a brick or a smooth spot or a feeding area or what. So we'll see how that one goes, but it's just a bit of a gamble because I did see a few fish. Well, you're probably wondering why the bivvy's up there, and that's because the water level came right up, touching the bivvy. It's not really rained that much today, even though it's spotted now, but the water is pouring in at the far end from a little pipe. So I did see a few fish this morning when I walked round up that channel there. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a channel just there, and there are about 6 or 7 fish just sitting in that channel, probably about 20 yards down, just milling around a little bit. So that rod I put out is probably around this sort of area as the geese come flying in, around that sort of area. So I don't know if it's technically my swim or this swim, but no one's in here, so it doesn't really matter. And with there being fish across there, and I think fish have been seen near that island, although the other side of the island, around there, I thought it best to put a rod that way and put less pressure further up the right hand side of the lake. So look at all these geese coming in. So hopefully I've made the right decision. I don't know if I have or not, but we'll see. But I'm not entirely sure how many more nights I'm going to get to do this year. This is the back end of October, and time is getting a little bit tight. Hopefully I'll get time to do a bit more time, but if I don't, then I've had a pretty good year as it stands. I started off in the spring, in April sort of time. Did fairly well, catching a few small ones to start off with because there was a lot of stockies went in over the winter, so I caught mainly small ones, and then I hooked into a fish that felt a whole lot better, that dragged me around a little bit in a swim called Daisies, which is kind of just the other side of that point there, fishing down to that back bay behind this island. I found a nice little hole that was a bit deeper than the rest, and yeah, picked a fish up from that, and it turned out it was one of my targets that I'd targeted, oh god, 10 years ago when I first put my name down on this list. And it's a really old fish as well, called the linear. It was absolute cracking fish, really long, really old. It had done 50 in the past, but it was nowhere near that weight when I caught it. It was 42 something, but still really happy to get that. Went down to catch a few more fish dotted around the lake, a few 30s, and quite a few of the stockies, and then I had a bit of a hit in this swim across there, and yeah, I basically had 10 or 12 fish in a session. Everything just kicked off. I had a couple of low 30s, a few small ones, a couple of low 30s, a fish called Lumpy's Mate at 37, which is a kind of old character fish, and then I had another 40, a fish called Rudder. It's got a heart-shaped tail to it, and that's quite a nice old fish, and that was 40 pounds and a few ounces. It was a male fish as well, so that was a bit of a cracker. And then I had the summer off because that was June when I had that, so I had the summer off pretty much. And then I came back in September, had a few small fish dotted around the lake, and then I went back in that swim across there, the grassy, and booked on for a week. I only did 4 nights in the end, but I booked on for a week so I could do an extra night, and I ended up with a brace of 38s, which was great, after not having a lot of time to fish all over the summer, and to get into a couple of 38s on my return. So I was really happy about that. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that result, and here I am today. Hopefully it's not my last night on here this year, and hopefully I can pick up a couple more fish either tonight or tomorrow morning. What time will tell. It looks good out there. That wind has been hacking up there all afternoon, and it's just calmed down a bit for whatever reason. It was a right nightmare getting the rods out with a 50-mile-an-hour crosswind, trying to hit these smallish spots. But I managed to get the rods out okay. They went down okay and in the right sort of areas. So hopefully they'll bring a bite. But this wind's due to kick back up again later. So if it is, then Matey's going to be in pole position in that corner across there. So like I say, hopefully this is not my last night. But if it is, I'm not complaining on the session I've had so far. But we'll see what the night brings. Moving that rod from the right hand side of the swim to the left hand side of the swim has paid off. Might be the smallest fish of the session, but it shows it was the right move. This one weighed in at 21 pounds and yeah, came into that newly positioned rod on the left, cast towards the island about, I don't know, about 70 yards, 75 yards. So happy to get another one under the belt. And it's not too late in the night either, it's only about midnight now, so I've got a few hours left to get the rod back out and see if I can sneak another. So let's see what happens. Well, the barrow's loaded. I've got one rod just left out there, hoping for a last minute bite before I've got to hit the road. But I don't know where it's going to come or not, but I'm not complaining. I have had an absolutely awesome session. So it's a 21, mid 20, 237s and 245s. That's got to be my biggest big fish hit, I suppose, is the best way of putting it. Yeah, that 45 brace is my biggest ever brace, so I'm really blown away with that. And then to back it up with those other fish as well has been absolutely awesome. So I've really enjoyed my time down here, and it's been fantastic. I'm hoping I can sneak another session in before the year's out, but I'm really not sure if I can, but we'll see. But yeah, really enjoyed this session, and it's really paid off for me.